Hi, this is Amy Frith on the phone. I'm sorry, I just am speaking because no one can hear you over Zoom. So I just want to let you know to unmute yourselves. Thank you.
Zero feedback, which is a process problem within the county, independent of this. And the frustration from Bob and John comes through there. Specific to this, I understand the assertion that under 120, this should have been resolved by the zoning commissioner. And that's what it says, and that's what it says. However, doing my best. Okay. So given that, it going before the planning commissioner, should have at least incorporated the information that we provided to him, especially the environmental, because there are secret considerations, there are historical considerations that should have been considered by the zoning commissioner. Supervisor Thomas represented it to be not a flawed process, not a process failure. I disagree. It was 100% a process failure. Should have been considered, even if it was only considered at the zoning commissioner's level, and regardless of going forward to the Board of Supervisors. As far as the working relationship with the county, my approach since I've been doing this is I've been trying to meet the county where they are. I know they're very busy. I know they're understaffed. I know there are no processes to do this. So I've been trying to work with them in a very flexible way to, like I said, meet them where they are. I've had good success with Director Martinez and his staff. We've developed a positive working relationship. We talk every 2 weeks on average, maybe. The same is not with planning. So I appreciate you talking with Karen and hopefully getting her on board. We do continue to have the periodic meetings with her. We'll continue to do that. But the more we can process that within the county, the better it'll be. And it'll reduce the frustration from everybody in APAC and make it worthwhile for us. So I appreciate your support going forward on that. Big gear shift here. Wanted to give some project updates.
Can I comment on that just
sure.
Briefly?
Yeah.
One of the things needs to be understood is before anything goes before a zoning administrator, a planning commission, the board of supervisors, county council is weighed in on it to determine the appropriateness of the material presented. So I can go back and talk to county council and try to get a more specific reason on why the zoning administrator hearing did not include the information from APAC that you're talking about. And my guess is there's a pretty simple answer to that.
It was.
So would that be helpful if you had that?
It would be helpful, so we can tune our response. Because
we don't do this in a black space, right? County council is involved with all of these proceedings and the recommendations that they give to, and Bob can probably attest to this. The planning commission gets a lot of information from county council relative to do's and don'ts. What are the things you can do? How far can we go with this? Can we add an additional condition here? And so it's a discussion that results in this given set of information being captured that creates the findings for the result, right? But there's a lot of interaction with county council, the legal aspects of things, that it's fundamental and has to be done with every one of these types of reviews. So I'll check with the zoning administrator aspect of this with county council and see if I can't get you an answer.
As you say, that would be super valuable for us because right now it's a black box. It's a write-only database. We send stuff in and we get no feedback. So if we can at least understand the process, that would be super helpful.
All right, we'll work on it. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
call in other lawyers to take a look at what the county says. And I'm sure you're gonna get a different opinion.
A
So,
lot of different things.
but when John says that, I'll remind everybody, as I remind members, people are passionate about this and volunteers who spend a lot of time are passionate about it. The thing I need to remind everyone is that, as we're an advisory group, we're not an official function of the county. We have no land planning authority. APAC doesn't do appeals and APAC doesn't do litigation. One, we have no money. Two, that's not really what our charter has set up for us. But private groups, APAC members on their own, you do whatever you want. You just can't say APAC says this unless APAC took a vote and says that. So I'll leave it there and then I'll let you, Jim. I know you have some information,
Okay.
transportation specific.
On the good news side, as a result of the APAC's recommendation as part of in the run-up to the Gateway project, one recommendation was to limit truck traffic on Carson Crossing. This was a source of a lot of nervousness in the communities of Four Seasons, Heritage, and Blackstone. We made the case, and Director Martinez decided to move forward with that. There are temporary signs up now, lighted signs, limiting truck traffic. They seem to work. I saw one semi pulled over to the side of White Rock, trying to figure out what to do. So I think it was very good. And he expects to have permanent signs up by the end of the year. So again, thank you to the Transportation Committee and all the work there. The support we got from the community and the associations, and maybe a little bit of nudge from our planning commissioner, Bob Williams, to help out. So thanks to all of you. On Saratoga Park, I spoke about that last time, that was raised by some citizens about concerns about parking and safety at that park. I met with Brooke and Jeff from CSD, the principal planner from CSD. We sat in the park and looked at the history and the issues there. The options are pretty limited. So I circled back with Director Martinez from DOT with an idea that we had talked about at that meeting. And so CSD and DOT are going to get together and see what they can do. John mentioned the APAC charter. So as I understand it, the charter is to look at developments and make recommendations. This is a development that already happened. So I think it's outside our charter to address this actively, but I still want to make the connections and keep things going if we can.
And to that point, it'd be great if we had people who were looking at, conditions of approval as projects go through. They've already been approved. They're 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road. And we have a group of volunteers that go, hey, we have questions about these conditions of approval or these requirements. The truth is our bandwidth is about like this. And this year the projects are like a fire hose. So if we had more capacity, more capability, more volunteers, then that we could consider adding like maybe an ad hoc or something along those lines to do like, let's grab a bunch of projects that are in development, just talk to the developer, talk to the county and see where we're at and that things are being met. But technically, obviously the process is the county is supposed to be monitoring these things and making sure the things that were required get done. There we go. We'll leave it there.
Well, this is a project with a lot of history.
Yeah,
so
a ton of it. Yeah.
There's an interesting retrospective.
Yes.
One last thing is I also mentioned last time that I guess we're going to be talking about Green Valley later today. It's on the agenda.
Generations?
Yeah, generations.
It's a minor update. If you have something you want to
No,
contribute.
I just, from a traffic committee standpoint, we don't have any recommendation or any representation from that area. So we don't have local domain knowledge and history. So if you know of anyone that's from the area that can help out, please let me know. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, well, that was, I put you on the spot, so thanks for doing that. We're gonna move ahead and trying to make sure we're not missing anybody. The next thing on our agenda tonight, we have some updates of the projects we've been reviewing, and they're updates. We're not reviewing anything tonight. We just wanted to let you know where we're at and where these projects are at. Village of Marble Valley specific plan, I can jump in here. We've talked about it for 12 years, 11 years. So it's 3,200 homes and some commercial use south end of Bass Lake Road, which is Marble Valley Road. It's been proposed for a long time. We did have the applicant come and make a presentation in June. We provided our comments on Marble Valley in July to the draft environmental impact report. And every applicant we've talked to about these big projects this year, their goal, they told me straight up, we're going to be before the Planning Commission by November. We're going to have our project in front of the Board of Supervisors by December. And that was what triggered us to write a letter saying, hey, how are we doing this? I mean, we know the county is challenged for time, and we understand that they're required when an applicant makes a request or when they submit something, there's a timeline involved. So we just want to make sure that we're not overlooking anything and that we as residents have time to provide thoughtful feedback. So on this one, let's see if I jump through. I emailed the planner 5 a.m. on Monday morning. I got a response before 11 a.m. Being brought before the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors sometime in 2025. So on this one, you can take Christmas off and Thanksgiving. I don't know about New Year's. So, but we did want to provide that update on that. And then adjacent to that, Lime Rock Valley, the specific plan, and that's for 800 homes, and it's to the east and a little bit to the south. That too is something that's been proposed since 2011, 2012. And so we reviewed that. That was presented to us by the applicant with Marble Valley at the same time. Their EIR came out, their draft EIR was a couple weeks behind it. We provided our feedback for that. I can't remember now. It might have been the end of May. No, it was in June, I think, or July. We had 90 days on that. So, and that's just a representation of where it's at by the Deer Creek wastewater treatment plant south of 50. Same thing, I emailed the planner on that. Same response, Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors sometime in 2025. So this one you could take a break on, but keep those thoughts in your mind. If you have questions, if more information is processed and made available to us, we'll look at it before there's a timeline if we have it. So the next item was the Town and Country Village, El Dorado, which we had the presentation last month, early in September. And again, that's an applicant that's been very engaged with APAC since I think 2019 or 2018 in discussion mode anyways. And I think we counted how many, I think they're here 7 or 8 times just to talk. The first probably 4 or 5 times they came to say, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? And they wanted that feedback. And they've been very diligent about engaging residents in the Bass Lake area as well. So, you know, and since it was here last month, and we've looked at it so many times, you know, it's the Bass Lake Road at the Old Country Club, just north of the highway. And they're talking about, did I skip that? Sorry. 2 hotels, 150 rooms each, 56 residential cottage, 56? That number's wrong somehow. Okay, I know why. It's been a long day. But 56 residential cottage for employee housing and another 56 for that could be rented as part of the hotel functions. There's other items involved there in terms of an event center inside between the hotels, restaurant between the hotels, some retail commercial opportunities for local businesses to have their shop, you know, their storefronts in there. So there's a lot to it. And again, we provided our feedback on that. September 9th is when we turned in our comments in the draft EIR. And again, that's just sort of a dialed in look there at the layout of the 2 hotels and the event center, conference center in between. And then on the north side of Country Club, the new Country Club Drive is where all the cottages are proposed to be. So when we talked to them, I just went too far. I put in there, the Planning Commission Board Supervisor, planner said sometimes in 2025. So, and that was Monday. So we'll take them for their word. And, but again, this applicant, if there's something like we talked about the document that was presented at the board, if DOT's ready to share it, that applicant will send it to us immediately before DOT sends it to us. I'm confident, but you'll probably hear about it right away. So with that, there's one thing I did talk to them about. The concern really has been, so we're talking about 4,000 homes on the south side of Bass Lake Road and this hotel project on the north side. And we were dissatisfied with the draft EAR in terms of that there was really no significant traffic mitigation proposed, because when you look at Bass Lake Road, it's 2 lanes under an overpass. Overpasses are expensive to build or modify. And we couldn't figure out, because the majority of the traffic would be coming out on Bass Lake Road or at Cambridge. The majority of the homes are closer to Bass Lake Road. The only shopping is the Sienna Ridge Shopping Center on Bass Lake Road. So that traffic volume's a bump. And I think some of the proposed mitigations were an interim improvement of the interchange at Bass Lake Road and at Cambridge, along with a stop light. It was the initial in the draft EIR at Hollow Oak at the fire station, Station 86 on Bass Lake Road, and then a light, I want to say it was on Cambridge, was that Country Club? I'm trying to remember, but it is on Cambridge. And then interim interchange improvements. Interim is not defined. I have no idea what that means. Interim to me means in between. What about the after? With 4,000 homes, this is a significant impact. So, but when I was talking to the Town and Country Village applicants, they said that they had talked to other road planners and also to the county, and I believe they finally had a conversation with Serrano Associates and the G3 for Lime Rock about, because they're concerned that they envision they need to make a 4-lane Bass Lake Road for their hotel. They want to know how it's going to happen. They want to know how, if they advance funds like other projects have done in Bass Lake Hills specific plan. One of the solutions that's been discussed is a dog bone interchange, which is essentially 2 roundabouts on each end. You're still constrained by the highway overpass to 2 lanes. So it sounds intriguing. I don't know if that's real. It might be in that document someplace that we're talking about, but they said that they wanted to find out, and they wanted to pursue what would be the better option in terms of bringing something sooner rather than 10 or 20 years down the road. But it won't be real. But I just thought, since they had mentioned it, I brought it here. Here's a simple image of it. This is a highway overpass over a dog bone roundabout. And the interchange legs are on the top and the bottom, on and off. So roundabouts are becoming more popular in terms of slowing traffic down, but without stopping traffic. And the thing about roundabouts is that since cars are moving, they're not idling, and that's the air quality that we are all concerned about. And so the state is in favor of that. So there's an opportunity for grant funding for things like this. That's about the only thing they're grant funding right now. And sidewalks and bike lanes. So bike lane's not going to do us anything on the freeway. And then another element, this is...
The other thing that's an element of it, if I can interject,
Sure.
is the free rights. You're coming down to the intersection, there's a free right, and you get it on the freeway. So you don't have to go around the
Yes.
roundabout.
Yes.
Those free rights on all 4 corners are very, very important. That's one of the things that got messed up in the Tahoe roundabout.
Yes.
Highway 88, they didn't have a free right coming in off of 88, and it was a mess. So
It is better. It is better. I will say that. It's not
better
the
than it
best.
was.
Yes.
That
So
was a Caltrans project, not a county project.
as a Bass Lake resident, I'm looking for anything. After 30 years, any improvement is better than no improvement. I'd like better, but, and so that was my input as a private citizen. This is one that I believe is in Canada. It's a large interchange. That's not going to happen. We can't do it because there's the interchange right now. That's all private property around it. There is some right of way for, so, and then when we look at it, there's the eastbound off ramp, you have a hillside you'd have to remove, and it's private property. On the westbound on ramp from the north side of the highway, again, there's a wetland on both sides. It's private property. So don't know how that would work, but it's something they're talking about to see what's possible. And then, I guess I could do it on here. Will it work? That's just, let's see. I wonder if it would, there it goes. Look at that video. No sound, sorry. But that's just, it's sort of a simulation of how the traffic would flow. The idea is you keep vehicles moving, you slow traffic down, which slows down the accident rate. It's not a guarantee it won't happen, but so this is just something that's in discussion or in the thought process. And if it becomes more real, more tangible, like I'm sure we'll provide some feedback, or maybe we'll have some more presentation demonstrations like this and see what's possible. I don't know where else in the county this might work. Oh, we don't want to click anybody else's ads, but we'll see. Jump in.
Yeah, hi, John. Thanks. Just for my clarity, I'm a big fan of roundabouts. My wife is not, but we're still married, and so everything's good.
Don't take her around the roundabout, John.
So this proposed roundabout, Bass Lake Road at Highway 50.
That is a suggestion. It's not proposed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
But there is a roundabout quasi-proposed for a Bass Lake Road at Bridlewood Canyon, at Bridlewood Drive at Bass Lake. That's complicated. It's on this, technically on the CIP. So, and there is some funding from the El Dorado County Transportation Commission for, but it's not for construction. It's strictly for, but hopefully a solution in the offing. So we'll move past that. Sorry, make it watch all this again. Generations at Green Valley is the other project. I emailed planners about this. Generations, they came and presented to us in August, if I'm remembering correctly. We got our comments into them. Their scoping meeting was here in March, and then the draft EAR was like 60 days. It was short. And when we looked at that, when we were doing our comments from the draft EIR, essentially it looks like the draft EIR was done when the scoping meeting was held. It was ready to go. There wasn't a lot. We contributed some comments on the scoping meeting and that process. And I heard back from the applicant that they thought it was a bit excessive. Sorry. You can always apologize later. But again, this is 379 single-family residential lots along Green Valley Road, just, what is it, east? It's kind of on a curve. East of Malcolm Dixon, it's on the south side of Green Valley Road. We had a project proposed here, and it went to the Board of Supervisors in 2017. It was denied. It was a much larger project at that time. But so we had submitted our public comments on that draft EAR, and I talked to the planner. 2025, Planning Commission, Board of Supervisor. There's no set schedule yet. So I know that it's been up in the air, and people have been asking, when they're going to be coming through. But I wanted, if I thought I could have emailed today and gotten answers today, I would have. But I did it on Monday just because I want to make sure we had something. So again, these are all projects that we'll have an opportunity when the final comes out, the final EIR, and we'll have an opportunity to make more comments on that, and then we'll have comment opportunities as the project goes through its entitlement process at the Planning Commission, at the Board of Supervisors. So I won't ask you to work on it the holidays, but be ready for 2025. So, and then we had some basic updates. Oh, look at my clock. Basic updates, just projects we've talked about that have some minor updates. Just to let you know what the status is like these. We heard about the Bass Lake family apartments. It's technically in rescue. It's in the Bass Lake Road at the north end, so it's right up against both Cameron Park and El Dorado Hills. It's a pre-application with a parcel split in there that they applied for. State Bill 330 and Assembly Bill 2011. It's 100% affordable housing. This has changed several times. I believe it's 128 apartments now, but the pre-apps it's 126. So there are 2 apartments that are reserved for managed units. I believe they have, at one time it was 5 buildings. I listened to the Cameron Park Design Review. It had changed to 6 buildings. I think it's back to 5 buildings again. Don't know. But it's a pre-application. But these state bills, it allows the applicant to take anything that's owned commercial, and you can put multifamily on to meet the housing needs of the county that we're in a hole, or the state. So it's 5 acres. It's on Foxmore Lane. It's directly on the north side of Green Valley Elementary. Used to park on Foxmore, drop kids off. The buses parked on Foxmore. It was a mess then, and now we're talking about 128 or plus parking spaces. But because it is zone commercial, they can make this application underneath the auspices of these 2 state bills. The zoning administrator had approved it. Residents are very concerned about it there, and they appealed it. We didn't formally analyze it or review it, mostly because technically it's not in El Dorado Hills. If we had time, we would probably have provided some
I
findings.
believe the appeal was refused.
There's your, no, the appeal was upheld.
It was upheld
Was upheld?
Yes.
unanimously.
So, and yeah, it was 5-0. So there's a property, there's some question about wetlands. There's question about the process, the steps of the process. The parcel split seemed to be, I think the perception was it was a part of the project that was being proposed first to facilitate the project, which is, I think, an order or a process concerned, and the board heard that, and there you go. So that's one of the renderings. I think it's changed twice. I think this is the latest one I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 buildings in this one. The anticipation is, so the board had upheld the appeal, and I believe the applicants are considering a resubmitted project without doing the parcel split, or find out what the, what process would meet the board's approval via the zoning administrator, because it's, those bills don't provide a lot of opportunity for a normal review process in the county. The state kind of steps in and says, sorry about your review, sorry about your, land use authority, but we need this. So we will see, more will be coming on this, I imagine.
Can I add a little bit more flavor to this?
Please do.
The reason this appeal was upheld was because SB 330 specifically says any wetlands is not an allowed project site.
And
So by applying for a parcel split to separate off the wetlands, they were
Yes.
basically gaming the system. And that's why the appeal was upheld, because we don't want people trying to game the system. But it's clear language in SB 330 that it outlaws wetlands. So you can't, but the deficiency is state law doesn't define any percentage. I mean, it can be 1 square foot on a parcel, and you can't have an SB 330 project. So, I mean, the definitions are lacking. We didn't want to be the first case court either, but that may happen yet. Depends on what happens with this. But there was a specific reason that appeal was upheld unanimously, because it was consistent with what we saw going on. So,
yes. So, but I mean, the residents put a lot of work into seeing what those 2 bills said, and they did a lot of research and they brought it forward. So that was a determination. How they address that with that it's not a big element of wetlands on that parcel. If I'm being honest,
it's like 5%.
it's like a puddle in my backyard, but wetland's a wetland. So law's law. So there you go. We'll wait and see what else happens with that. But that commercial parcel has been available for years and years and years. And the unfortunate part is the person who's directly against that parcel is being split with the wetlands. They literally moved in 2 months before the project was proposed and had no idea it was coming. So they could have dodged a bullet. Instead, they did all this work. So there's your update on that. We talked about Carson Creek. I don't know if we want to talk about more, the R&D project. We did submit comments many times over the years. We had the applicant, Tim White and I did a Zoom call with the applicant. We had the applicant come in and make a presentation. I think it was August last year. It sounded a little different from what our phone call was, our Zoom call. And then within a month or 2, we had marketing documents that were different even from the 2 conversations we had. And, I'm not going to belabor this. The business park has entitlements that, as a property owner, people can apply for, and they think that, they have the entitlements. The zoning administrator reviews it and they concurred. There was an appeal. And I don't know, and I'll be me talking about it, and you can yell at me afterwards, or before.
I can yell at you now.
I know it's happened before, but to me, I think the thing we wanted was just the clarity, just the answers for the things we submitted. If we're not right, if our assumptions are wrong, let us know. I think that would have gone a long way. And I'm going to be blunt here: is that we had the issue with the Project Frontier, and the director made a director's determination about fulfillment centers. Now, we don't know if this is fulfillment centers. It would be 16 tiny fulfillment centers. Who knows? We don't know. Our concern was it looked like the road was being moved. Was that considered in the analysis of the business park 100 years ago when it was reviewed in 2015? We don't know. There's another connection to Latrobe. Just questions. We had a lot of questions. So we just asked the questions, and we're curious. But that director's determination letter I thought was going to help with residents. You know, I still have a problem with the fact that we have the business park and then, you know, years later, the county approved residential all around it. I think you're kind of setting yourself up for conflict. But, you're part of the problem, you live there.
No,
so.
no.
2014 letter, you were on the
it's-
subcommittee, you were the subcommittee chair that approved Heritage
It's,
Phase 3.
it's a
And
funny
I
thing.
signed the thing.
John, it was brought up yesterday and it was mentioned before by the developer himself. He was against taking part of the business park and put housing on it because they foresaw the problem that was going to happen when you're going to have businesses right next to people living. Okay? And the developer said that at one of the meetings. He said when they proposed this, he thought it was a bad idea. Okay? And it was brought up, it was kind of like touched on yesterday. One of the people said to the supervisors, you never should have approved the building of Heritage this close to the business park. Okay? And hey, you know, things come back to bite you.
So,
And
yeah.
that's just mountain lions.
You're right about that.
That's full circle, by the way. That's a good callback. Thanks. But, you know, my concern was that, you know, I wrote both letters when I submitted because I'm hearing from our committees that reviewed this. They said, hey, you know, we never got an answer. We did sit in that meeting room where they said, well, it was so big, we didn't have the time. There was nothing we could assign a budget to for staff to review. And so they just didn't do it and didn't let us know. And that was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I don't know how long ago that was. So, okay, well, now you have it, you know, and this is a parcel split, so there's not a project proposed. So that's another thing that we struggled with. So, and we heard, you know, what happened with it at the appeal. It was denied. And this just kind of looks at it right now. Most of the things in the business park are ministerial approval. And I think that's the assumption that the property owner made, and that's the assumption that the zoning administrator made. We had questions. If they'd been answered in some fashion, then maybe we would go, okay, well, we don't agree, but whatever. But in the meantime, the property owner also has, you know, they had proposed a mixed-use residential project on this during the middle of COVID, and we had them come and talk to APAC. It was virtual, sorry, COVID again. And then they did a presentation they did a J6, I believe, to the Board of Supervisors about it. They did a community presentation virtually. And then nothing happened with that project. And then we see the parcel split, you know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And then, but now they have a specific plan proposed again for this, and it's, you know, so that was, I think, a question that we submitted. It's like, well, I know it's a separate project, but one of the answers we heard back was that this project, there's another project coming. But then I think it was determined during the course of the review and the hearing, it's like, well, this project has no bearing on the parcel split. Fair enough, but so the parcel split's in place, it stands. This specific plan comes in, and that was our question. It's like, well, does the parcel split facilitate this new specific plan, or is there going to be another parcel split when if this gets approved? And those just questions, and we have no answers. So, and we've beaten this up quite a bit tonight, and you can beat it up one more time, take one more swing. I'm generous to a fault.
I want to answer Supervisor Heigl a second. When Four Seasons was approved, Heritage was approved also, the plan for Heritage. This was all supposed to be one big 55 and over community. So Four Seasons came first. Heritage we're calling it Heritage now. That type of community was always envisioned, all right, all the way back, okay? And so you really can't blame us for doing it, because I would blame the people that were on the board. And you know what, I can't blame them either, because this was Four Seasons was a new concept for El Dorado County and El Dorado Hills. They really didn't know what to do. They did a beautiful job, by the way. But this was like an experiment for them, okay? But Heritage, or the idea of a heritage, was always there. We were always supposed to be connected. Four Seasons was always supposed to be connected with trails and et cetera, to Heritage, okay? So this goes all the way back. So
But
I mean,
phase
I think-
3 was approved in 2014. Phase 3, after Four Seasons, after phase 1, phase 2. And then there was a proposal that came to the county, I think it was 2021, for the latest phase, which I think they're calling Creekside, Heritage Creekside, right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't part of it. That got added on after.
Well, it
So
got-
there's a long history.
It got
I didn't
changed.
vote for
Yeah.
Creekside.
It was, it was, I believe it was part of the specific plan, but it was changed because it was supposed to be mostly, yeah,
Right.
R&D.
And I'm not blaming anybody for anything. All I'm saying, the history has a record, right? And we need to understand the history of it.
And that record goes back to building heritage right next to, or part of a business park. It never should have happened.
Without buffer zones or anything else, but I didn't understand the county zoning ordinance well enough at that time to know there were no buffers involved. There was no
Yeah.
sets up, well, we could get into all those discussions as well, but there were no setbacks at all because the county zoning ordinance didn't require them. And that's not a good way to have construction.
And
happen.
another thing that they're missing, it's not only this builder, there are at least 2 or 3 other buildings. I'm gonna call them distribution centers, big concrete blocks. One is next to the school, that private school on exit 3, I think it is. And then there's another 2, all right, that are distribution centers. So when all of these things get to be moving, and where all this distribution is coming from, and I think it was pointed out that, George Ski pointed it out, that we're in a new dynamic today where people don't shop at stores and everything comes into a big distribution center and is sent out, okay? I have a friend who lives in Cameron Park. His next door neighbor was one of the distribution centers from his house. He couldn't fill his garage. The garage was full, so he had packages now on the lawn that were covered with a tarp. I mean,
Business has changed, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But definitions absolutely have to be defined. What is a wholesale distribution center?
Yeah.
How big can it be? How
Well,
many
and
stories can it be?
that's the one thing we asked in our first letter was about the director's determination, like, great, when is that gonna be in the zoning ordinance and what are the objective standards?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Commercial design standards, objective standards.
What's it gonna be?
Have to be
Because
created. They don't exist today.
that's what I mean. So but it's been over a year and we know there's a tolling agreement that's preventing that implementation. But we didn't know about it until I did a Public Records Act to get the document. So,
If I could,
yeah.
I'd like to understand why the tolling agreement with wind properties applies to Gateway. It shouldn't. It should just apply to the wind properties thing and
County
not to the
council
rest
has
of the county.
provided that definition. I don't want to try to repeat it without getting his agreement.
You gave
to
us a
share it
different
with you.
answer yesterday than the previous answer.
I don't know what the previous answer was. All I know
Previous
is
answer was they couldn't codify the determination letter because of the tolling agreement with wind. That's not what he said yesterday in the meeting. He said that it didn't apply to the Gateway project. So it would be great if you could get clarification on that, because the law is that it needs to be codified within 12 months of the determination letter.
yeah, and that was the thing we struggled with too, because and the tolling agreements for one, it's limited to one parcel. And there are no third parties. It's in the language of the tolling agreement, but the county council's determined it's applicable to all the R&D. So I don't know. And we don't have an answer. I'm not gonna try to make one. If I did, everyone would be happy, but, or at least I would. So, but with that, I don't want to belabor this anymore. I know that this is a heated thing and we'll have an opportunity, whatever comes along, to provide some review. So don't leave yet. Okay. Need you.
I have to leave soon. I have to go to the men's room.
Oh, well. TMI. The other thing is that, and Supervisor Heidel provided a little bit of this on Monday at Community Council. Costco, we understand that Costco has bought both the north, I don't like this language. This is turned sideways, by the way. This is their map. It's the east and west side of Silva Valley. One's a little bit further north, one's a little further to the south. So Costco has completed the purchase of both those property sites. They're working with the county. I did hear from the county planner on Monday again that there's no formal submittal of updated project plans that have been made to the by Costco to the county. That's the exact quote, but they are still talking to them. And I know that the big concern is their traffic and circulation impacts and what's going to be required of them and how they're going to mitigate. And they want to present a plan that is compliant with what the county expectation is. When this was a different project, when EDH 52 was on the east side and Costco's on the west side, I know the EDH 52 folks were very insistent that they had to have a traffic signal in between both sides on Silver Valley in close proximity to the interchange. Well, that interchange functions as it does right now because there is no other, you get up the road. But if you look in the afternoon when people are picking up their kids, it backs up onto the interchange. So the expectation is that Clarksville crossing the old Silver Valley Parkway would be, they have 3 access points for the Costco. That's what they had proposed originally. So now we don't know what it's going to be. We know that the one traffic signal that the DOT has talked to us about is would be where the new country club extension would wrap around it. You know, Serrano Village, say 14 has to have a connection there too, because they have a, I can't remember the name of the street, but there's supposed to be a gate there as well. So that's supposed to connect to a future extension of country club. And there's an opportunity, we think, to address some of the concerns for the school. Parker Development owns a parcel adjacent to the school that could be used as a parking area, and it would touch the new country club. So then you'd have a traffic signal getting in and out of a parking or drop-off area that's much larger than what's there now. It doesn't say anything about up and down Silver Valley Park or any of the direction, or White Rock Road to the south. But it's an opportunity, I think, that if we're consistent with this applicant, that they would explore a way to make some improvement. So, but there's no project, so we still don't know. No, they can't say anything until there is one. And, you know, they might suggest, oh, I think we're close, but they're saying, no, there's no, they haven't even seen it. They've just talked about the traffic. So, but I think the community's been very vigilant about the concern. And I think as long as there's a project being proposed, that as long as we need to be consistent with raising those concerns and, you know, looking for mitigations and for answers.
But I understood the thing that they're doing right now is our DOT is working with their traffic engineers to make sure that the circulation is appropriate and will work for everybody. And before that gets completed, they didn't want to release a project and then have to change it again, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to get agreement on the traffic circulation, ingress, egress points, all of those considerations, and then they want to present their project. But we're expecting that to happen pretty soon because their engineers have been working for at least the last 30 days on it. So
yeah, so as soon as we know, we'll post it on the website and we'll share what the county has. But right now, they're doing the work. So, and we don't know. I'm sorry. You know, that was what I went too far. I'm going to close it right now. So they had proposed, their last revision was for EDH 52 to do 304 apartments, 4 floors, clubhouse, pool, all that stuff, and 2 retail buildings. But that seems to be out. We don't know what this will be. So, Oak Ridge High School.
we've been advised it will include fueling islands.
Yeah, we had heard that. Yeah, that's the update. They purchased.
Back from the roadways as far as they can.
Yeah.
As close as they can get on Highway 50.
I find that up.
How about
Okay.
Costco apartments? They have those too now.
Okay, you know what? I was trying like crazy not to say that, but there is a proposal in Los Angeles for a Costco with 800 apartment units. Los Angeles is not El Dorado Hills, so keep that back in mind. Okay, let's move along to something maybe a little more positive. Oak Ridge High School, the circulation and traffic improvement. So there are 2 components to this. Well, I'll jump in. This is what the school district shared. Was that in January, I believe? They were here. It was either January or December. I might have them in reverse order. But basically, if you've driven past Oak Ridge on Harvard, you've seen the mess there in the parking lot in the front. They have completed the improvements on the the small parking lot behind the gym, where the bus drops off. The county has done their part and they had the traffic signal in at Claremont and Harvard. They had it done early, if I remember correctly. School district component, and I sat with the principal of Oak Ridge at an event a few weeks ago, and I've been in contact with him. And I said, "Hey, how's that looking?" Because I think we were in July or August, and it said, they're supposed to be done for the school when school started, and the sign said October. Okay, and he's devastated about the delays. It's very disruptive to the school, to the community. He told me yesterday, the end of October, I want to say treat, no trick. So he's hoping, again, they're improving that parking and drop-off area along Harvard. There will be a roundabout inside the school property, and then they're eliminating left turns in from close to Silva Valley, where the school parking lot is by the football stadium. However, I saw probably 30 cars turning left there last night when I was driving home. So across the barriers. So we'll talk to Officer Brown at CHP and see if they can get some enforcement down there. But the other thing they did add, and let's see if I can get right to it here. So that's the improvements in front of the school along Harvard. And then, so this is what they added. It's a driveway access on the east side of the football stadium. It's a big hill. And I remember my teen drivers, this doesn't scare me at all. But so it's right out only. And when we had this presentation, the school district said it was going to be right in only for southbound Silva Valley. There is a turn lane for the northbound. And the median still has a ton of trees in it. And I'm still thinking about those teen drivers crossing across all that traffic on Silva Valley. I'm just hoping there's not a problem. Maybe, I know we can't do, well, maybe they can do crossing guards for traffic, but there's a ton of utilities there that none of it was where the utilities said it would be. PG&E, AT&T, none of it was where they said it would be, and that's the delay. So they anticipate this is done October.
Can I ask where the bike lanes are?
You may ask.
Park.
Yeah, that's the truth.
If I look at this map, maybe this is a bike lane. Maybe,
But don't get carried away.
but nothing here.
No. Oh, that's the median. The other side's not in it. There's two lanes.
Halfway across the road.
Northbound, there's two more lanes. It's not in the
On both
picture.
sides.
So these trees
That's the
here,
median.
oh, that's the median.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like bushes, looks like trees.
Well,
Thank you.
but yeah, they're hard to see around. So fingers crossed that they get this done. It's successful. It improves access for parents and students and for the community. So if you leave here tonight, be careful. El Dorado Boulevard, Saratoga, the northbound turn lanes. We all know what a mess that's been. We had DOT was here, I want to say in November, to talk about this project. And again, I might have those backwards. One was in November, one was in January, February. But closures started on Monday, 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. One lane open in both directions as they do the work. They're removing the center median, adding some additional stacking capacity for the northbound turn lane, which is desperately needed. However, I back up past the interchange sometimes when I go through at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's 88 upgrades to the curbs. They're doing a right turn lane taper from southbound El Dorado Boulevard onto Saratoga to add a little more capacity there. And there's more capacity. These are hard to see. This is sort of the project area in this work. There's Saratoga, highways back here. Rayleigh's is like right here next to the highway. Well, the on-ramps are there. Rayleigh's right there. So they're adding a little more turn capacity for the southbound into Rayleigh's. And then, a long sort of taper for the turn to Saratoga. And then this is being extended a lot. So we're hoping that will make this better, because that's a mess there.
That landscape corridor disappears.
Yeah.
That's the compromise.
Yeah. And the CSD doesn't have to take care of it anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of.
On behalf of the LA.
Well, that's my meeting in 2 weeks. You stop, yes, stop with your filthy LAD talk. So hopefully, this is a project that's going to go through December. I think it was the 20th, is I think the anticipated. Hopefully there's no delays and we're all able to shop for our Christmas presents. And then there's one more that we're going to let you know. This is another project we had no capacity to review. We didn't hear from any residents about this project, although I did hear from our planning commissioner about it. And then I heard from other planning commissioners about it. It's a cell phone facility. It's going to be on the Bowman property. Where am I sitting? On the Bowman property. It's directly behind. Yeah, I was going to make sure I'm pointing the right way. So it's a CSD property. It's at the planning commission tomorrow. We didn't provide any comments because, like I said, bandwidth, projects. since we didn't hear any concerns about it, but although now I've seen 3 or 4 people have posted their concerns, and it's a concern I had because I talked to the planner. He called and said, "Do you want to talk to me about this?" Well, that was generous. So yeah, let's hear, because I hadn't seen the updated documents. So I talked to him 2 weeks ago, and the one concern I had, the first one was, and I'm sorry, Jeff, it had the first version mock-up had the CSD logo on. It's a water tower instead of a monopine or a fake tree.
Oh, water tower. There's no water.
A faux. I took 4 years of French.
French, right?
It's not. That was a generous thing of you to do. Thank you. So that was my initial concern. It's like, hey, there's a sign ordinance. How's this going to work? Because I know you guys are trying to work on an electronic sign for the community park. So 110 feet tall. I've never seen a 110-foot tall water tower anyplace. And it's on a hill.
A skinny tower.
Well, it needs your water. So so it's an AT&T project. They looked at the other existing sites, the church. They looked. They were trying to look at this right above us here in the back corner because it just got extended a little while ago. It wasn't adequate. The church, I don't believe, was interested. So here we go. So hopefully it's a little bit of revenue for the CSD. There will be a diesel generator, 12 remote radio units. Let's take a look. So this is hard to see, but this is what was in the application packet. And it is a conditional use permit, so it'll be reviewed by the Planning Commission tomorrow. And these are tough things to decide because the FCC has a lot of ownership over what you can and cannot say yes or no to. The county has a very narrow ability to say yes or no. So they're talking again about this being at the back of the Bowman facility. It's property that they don't use for the actual archery range. There's your mock-up, sorry, with the logo on it, but it's 110 feet tall. And it's supposed to be rustic and represent sort of the history. I don't want to say Gold Rush, but Gold Rush-ish is what it was described to me. But it is large. That's a view of the property site right now, looking back down towards the boulevard. And here's your no tower. So it will be visible from the boulevard. A lot of people, the comments I saw, that was the major concern about how big it is. And of course, with cell phone towers, there's always the concern about the radio frequency stuff, the public health stuff that's, it's open to debate. Some people are very firm believers that there's a significant impact. The federal government has said maybe not. But, and then this is a view from the boulevard looking up at the hill. Again, at the top, no cell tower, right here, cell tower. And then this is from down the street. This is at Wilson right here looking north. No cell tower, cell tower. So if you want to call in tomorrow and provide some public comment, the Planning Commission would be happy to hear from you. But again, like bandwidth wise, and again, nobody was saying they had a concern about it. I think the concern we would have, if we'd looked at it, would have been the height. But they're saying this is what's required. There's a huge gap in cell coverage on both sides and inside Serrano. So those are the projects. Oh,
It's almost directly across the street from when it was just approved through the planning commission as a church.
yeah. I believe that they're supposed to try to share facilities or co-locate, but I believe the church either said no or there wasn't enough. I don't know the timing on the when they were applied for though either. So, but yeah, again, I'm sorry. We want to have an opportunity to at least provide some feedback. But again, we didn't hear from a lot of residents on this until they started making the comments this week. So we went down this list. The Planning Commission is going to see that project tomorrow. But Costco, we're waiting for an actual updated plan. Town and Country Village, El Dorado, 2025 is what they're telling us, but we're waiting for a final EIR. Creekside Village. On the, I don't mean to call it the former Frontier site. Frontier was the former Creekside Village site. They're in the process of preparing their draft EIR. The application for we have a pre-app for the Community for Health and Independence, which is the AKT and UC Davis project. County that believes that they expect an application, but hasn't been one submitted. We talked about the Carson Creek R&D, and now there's a specific plan proposed on top of that. Marble Valley, Lime Rock Valley, Generations, all 2025. Bass Lake Family Apartments, the appeal was upheld. Oops, did I go too far? I'm on the wrong side. There we go. So we did want to talk about a couple things tonight. So we've had a lot of people volunteering to work on our project reviews over these many projects. And so I will probably start soliciting. There are some members, as I mentioned, that they work either in development or some process of review of development that they contribute because they're members here in the community, but they don't feel it's appropriate for them to be official voting members because, you know, they want to keep a separation between their professional life and what they do here. I respect that. I appreciate anybody who donates any of their time to us. So, so with that, I will say that I will reach out to the people who have been working on it, on these committees to see if anybody wants to be a member of APAC. And if so, then we would gladly have them Thursday, even if they can't, or Thursday, sorry, next month in November on a Wednesday, have them, we'd love to have you be official voting members of APAC. And then the other item I need to bring up is that it's election season for APAC officers as well. We do our vote in December. We try to have our slate, our officer slate ready in November so people know. Voting members get to vote for the officers. And, you know, historically, it's basically whoever wants to be doing it. There's nobody in opposition. You should oppose. You should, I'm ready.
I'll oppose myself.
Well, no. But no,
I'll get in front
I'm
of a mirror and say,
looking down the
"No."
road here. You know, Bob Williams, he worked with APAC for a couple of years as our secretary. And Bob got called up to the big leagues on the planning commission now, so he's not available for that. But our charter says we need to have a secretary, and we can have multiple vice chairs and one chair. So if somebody is interested in their voting member, I'm looking down this row. Let's talk about it. I've done this a long time, and I think other people should have an opportunity to do this. I'll still participate. I could be any other member. I can sit in the audience. I'd be happy to do that. But if there's an interest, we'd love to hear about it. And then I also need to solicit among our existing members to see where they're at, see what their officers, what their desire are for the 2025 year. So with that, holy,
Do it.
I look at the clock.
Do it.
So,
Before 8 o'clock.
so public meeting comments, if you can't be here, you can email them into edhapacdotcomment@gmail.com by 5 p.m. on Monday so that we have them ready. And then we can ask if there's an applicant here to give it to them and they can have an answer prepared instead of you waiting a month for an answer to come in. With that, our next meeting is November 11th. 13th. Why did I have 11th on that? It's been a long week. So I'll fix this in the presentation. Yeah, that's a holiday. Oh yeah, yes. Well, let's be observant of Veterans Day. And then on the 13th, we'd love to have you back here. So with that, look, my screen is blank. I'll stop this share and I encourage you all to go home. There's a disconnect someplace. So I'm gonna go ahead. So no, thank you everyone tonight, and thank you for coming out. Anything you want to participate on, even if it's only a comment that you don't want to do anything else, we'd love to hear it.